Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar by Search Explained, 10 Steps to be Successful with Enterprise Search. My name is Agnes Molnar, I am a managing consultant at Search Explained. I have been Microsoft MVP for 9 years now, first for SharePoint Server, then for Office 365, and now I am an Office Servers and Services MVP. My main focus has been on information findability and search and information architecture for many years. I work as a consultant. I do trainings and workshops around the world. And I also author several resources like books and white papers. And I also do events where I do sessions and workshops. You can find me at several places every year. Search Explained is my own company, my own website at the same time, where I run a blog about search and findability and information architecture. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook as well. And I have just released a new training program, a new online training program called Search Explained Academy, which can be found at academy.searchexplained.com. Here you find and you will find more and more search-related trainings and resources and courses. So I suggest to go there to subscribe, and you get all the updates into directly into your inbox in this case. A couple of months ago, I have published a new book on SharePoint 2016 Search Explained. You can find this book and many others at searchexplained.com/books. Of course, if you might have questions, follow-up questions to this webinar or any other search-related questions, just drop me an email or a message on Twitter, and I am more than happy to help you anytime in the future. In this webinar, I am going to share you 10 steps, 10 ideas about search. You have to know that of course, there are many more ideas and many more tips I could or I should share. I have decided to demonstrate those 10 steps because they are easy to implement, easy to understand, and they can make a big difference in your search implementation. So if you go back to your organization and apply those ideas immediately, you can get instant results, enhancements and improvements to your search. But first of all, I would like you to understand the search processes in SharePoint and actually in any other search engines. So the first process is the crawling indexing process, and this is the process how the items get to the search index. You have to know that the search applications work supported by a search index, and this search index is what stores the items. It works like a huge database, a huge registry of your items. And basically, this is what provides the results when you or any of your users do search. So first of all, the items have to get into this registry, into this search index. And this is the first process. This is the crawling indexing process. During this process, also the initial relevance of the items gets calculated, which means the relevance is responsible for the sorting of results in your result set, and an initial number, an initial rank value is getting calculated during this process. I don't want to get into the deep details here, but what you have to know about this is that we can have several ranking models in each search application, and those ranking models work with the ranking as numbers, and this initial number, this initial relevance is getting calculated as the items gets to the index. The second process is the query processing. This is how your queries, the end user queries will be processed, will be understood by the engine. and how this is the process when the engine looks for the proper items in the index and presents those items back to the users. This is also very important. So this is how we get the results from the search index. This is the other part of the search process. The third one is analyzing process. We have great search analytics tools in SharePoint, but of course you can apply your third-party analytics tools. The most important thing is to use something, to start using something in order to be able to suggest improvements and then tune your search and improve and enhance your search over the time again and again to keep up with your organization's needs. If we want to understand the human side of this process, what I would like to highlight is two things. Of course, on both ends of the story, both ends of the search process, there are human, there are persons. On one end, there are the persons who want to find something, who does the search. On the other end, there are the content creators. Those are the people who create content, who submit content, who upload content. And this content goes to the search index, and this search index is the one who feeds the query processes to submit and to present those items to the users who look for something. And this is very important because I really would like to highlight that search is, yes, it's related to technology, but also it is a human-based process, and both the content creators and the content consumers are human, and we have to focus on the human requirements as well. Next, what I would like to highlight, and I have already mentioned that search is based on some technology. Search is not only the technology, as I said, but the technology part of search is very important. And I really don't want you to be scared here, but we do have so many components in SharePoint which we have to configure in order to be successful with search. It is really important to understand that search is complex. Search is challenging to configure the right way, but at the same time it is beautiful because if you change something very small, you can make a big difference in your search. And this is what I really would like to emphasize today, that with only small changes, you can make a big difference in search. The second thing I would like to show you today is that findability is much more than search. Findability means the process how we find information to get our jobs done. And actually, findability means navigation, how we navigate to the content. It also means search. Of course, search is a part of the findability story. But it also means accessibility, how we can access the information we need. Can we access the information we need? Do we have permissions to access the information? Does the search engine has access to the information, and can it crawl it? Can it index it? It is really, really important. The information architecture is also important because we have to store the information in the right way. We have to decide the format, we have to decide the containers, how we add metadata, what kind of metadata we add to the content, what folder structure we use, what site structure we use, etc., etc. You will see that in search everything is driven by metadata, and metadata is one of the key features in search. Therefore, information architecture with how we organize the content and what kind of metadata we use is really essential. The user experience has gotten better and better over the years in search, in SharePoint and Office 365 search, but there are still a lot that we can do to enhance it. I will show you some great uh, real world examples for this. But it is from findability perspective, the user experience is really important because how we present the information means a lot for the users, and how they can consume the information might save a lot of time for the users. The next is how the users can interact with the content, what actions they can do on the content, and how they can work with the content right away from the results. That is really important. The last two things are related to machine learning and user profiles and personas. It is really important that a general search solution usually is not enough in an organization, just because different users have different needs. So a salesperson needs different information than a developer or someone in finance. And these users might have access to the same information, but they need different views, they need different filters, they need different refiners, they need different ways to get the information presented, and therefore we need target applications to those audiences, to those users. And machine learning can help us to learn about the users and to apply those learnings. And we can see some very nice examples in Office 365 when we consider Office Graph and Dev and Clutter and all those applications based on the Microsoft Graph. I am going to demonstrate some of them very shortly. But first, let me demonstrate some findability tools. So here is my SharePoint home in Office 365, and what you can see right here is that I have some highlighted content, something I use frequently, something that is suggested to me, a list of items I follow, a list of items I have used recently, and also some featured links. Some of them are here because I follow some content, for example, here. So those are the contents that I follow. But also the suggested content is here because the engine, the machine learning engine behind Office 365 considers these items, these sites to be interesting for me. And you can see that I can navigate to places, for example, where I have never been before, maybe, who knows. This is a nice way for navigating to content, but at the same time, as I said, some content is suggested to me by machine learning, some intelligence in the engine. Therefore, again, it is a nice thing. If I go to something I have been using frequently, like admissions, you can see that this is the site that I use most frequently. Here are the documents, here I can see the news feed, etc., etc. And here I can see a different navigation, what we know from SharePoint already. This is the traditional site navigation, which also can be used to get to the information. If I go back here, from findability perspective, I can also use search. But here you can see that I immediately can see some suggestions here. And if I want to find something related to college, I immediately get suggestions again. And if I hit enter, I get to this new search experience where I can see sites, people, and files. I can navigate to them immediately. And if I would like to get to the classic results page, I can do that as well. So you can see that this is how I can navigate to the content. And from the navigation perspective, I have to mention discovery as a very important thing. And Dev and Office Graph are a great way to discover new content, to get content suggested by the engine. I am going to demonstrate this in a bit more details later. But what is important to know is that we can get to the content, we can find the content in many different ways. We can navigate there, we can find it by search, we can discover it by depth, etc., etc. So findability is really much, much more than search. The next thing you can do if you want to be successful with search is to get involved. The first thing is to provide feedback to your search team, formal and informal. If you drink a coffee with your search manager, just tell him that what you like and what you don't like in search. Or send an email, send a message. You can find people, you can find your search manager, you can find the stakeholders. Just let them know what you like and what you don't like. It is important. And if you have some formal ways to do it in search, for example, some surveys in search to rate the results, just use them. Maybe you don't get instant feedback, but believe me, that feedback is very, very important to improve and enhance search later. What you can see on this picture anyway is how we can categorize the users of search. The first category is this guy here who is totally lost because he is not a domain expert and not a search expert either, which means he doesn't know too much about the domain he has to work on. Maybe he's a junior, maybe he is new at this company, and also he doesn't know too much about search. He doesn't know how to use search, he doesn't know the search application, he doesn't know how to enter the query, how to use the refiners, etc., etc. This is the guy who needs the most help from us, because he needs help in both the domain expertise and in search. He doesn't know what kind of keywords to use, and he doesn't either know how to use search, how to find information. It really can be a bad feeling to be this guy, but with some help, he can make a great progress in both directions. The next is someone who has a high domain expertise but doesn't know too much about search. This lady in this chart really needs help with search. So she knows the domain, she knows what keywords to search for, she can express what information she needs, but she doesn't know how to get that information. And what she needs in this case is help with search, support with the search application, maybe trainings, maybe videos, how-tos. This is what she needs. The next person here is lost for words because although she knows how to use search, she is a search expert, but she doesn't know too much about the domain, which means she doesn't know the keywords, although she would know how to search for those keywords. In this case, what she needs is help in the domain, some training materials, information in the domain to help her to pick up the keywords, to pick up the knowledge in order to be able to find more and more in a very efficient way. And last but not least, we also have people who are domain experts and who know search as well. And those are the people who can use search in the most efficient way. Second, they can help us the most, both if we are users, we can ask them about search, we can ask them about the domains, we can ask them about their best practices, how to find new information, how to find more information. And also, if we are involved into implementing search, those are the people who can provide us the most valuable feedback about how they use search, what would be better, what would be the biggest help for them, and they can express it, and it's always great to hear their feedbacks. But also we can use those users to evangelize search, to teach others, and to provide best practices about search in their specific domain. After talking about the team and the users of search, let's talk about the content. Whenever you create a new content or upload a new content, just please consider search and findability, because there is a tendency that whenever people upload new content to SharePoint, they consider it to be done without submitting any valuable metadata into it. And there are some researches which shows that we as humans, we tend to be lazy. We do things only if we are motivated to do those things. For example, we are much more motivated to tag pictures and posts on Facebook than tagging and putting metadata on our enterprise documents. Why? Because we are motivated on Facebook. We get likes, we get comments, and we can be popular on Facebook if we upload pictures and if we tag our friends on those pictures. But in the enterprise, in our everyday jobs, this motivation just does not exist. We don't get likes, we don't get comments if we put metadata on our documents. Therefore, we consider it not to be important. But I have to tell you, it is important. Metadata and tags are really important. They are essential for search. And let me show you this thing. Everything you see on this picture, this is the out-of-the-box search experience in SharePoint. Everything you can see here is related to metadata. Refinement panel based on metadata. Queries and query rows based on metadata. On hover panel, we can see metadata. On the result set, we can see metadata. Result types and display templates, everything is based on metadata. How we display the results, based on metadata. Everything is metadata. This is why metadata is so important from the perspective of search, even on the out-of-the-box user experience. And if we would like to move forward, if we would like to use some more enhanced search experiences, metadata is still important. We can find metadata everywhere. How we can create metadata? We can create metadata manually, or we can use some auto classification tools which extracts and evaluates the content and adds metadata values into the search index to enhance the search experience. Both ways are doable and both ways are needed and both ways are important. You just have to decide which one to use in which cases. But again, metadata is essential. We can find metadata everywhere in search. So let me now show you one way to use metadata and why it is so important. So let's learn about queries. A query is the process of looking for results. And you know that we have this query box where we can enter our query and then we get some results. But there is a lot that we can learn about how to enter queries and how to enter queries in the powerful way. So now let me show you kind of reference about powerful queries. And instead of just going through on this table, I am going to share this with you after this webinar. You will get this reference into your inbox. Now let me show you some real world examples in my demo here. So I was here. Let me go here. So I am on the same search center and I have entered the query for college, and you can see I've got about 80 results in this search center. So one of the very useful thing to know about queries is that we can use wildcard. But in SharePoint and Office 365, wildcards can be used on the end of the words only. So if I enter call star instead of college and hit enter, you can see I still get results containing the word college, but I also get collaborate, collecting, collateral, colleagues, etc. etc. Everything that starts with COLL gets into the search results, and instead of about 80 results, I've got more than 100 results in this case. Of course, you can use star alone as well. In this case, you get everything that is in the search index and you have permission to. This is important to highlight. I am going to talk about the permissions and security trimming in a few minutes, but if you use star, you get everything you have permission to in the search index, and you can see I've got more than 1300 results in this case. So let me show you something else. Is document equals 1. Is document is a flag, is a metadata, is a search metadata in the search index, and if the result is a document, then the value of this flag is 1, otherwise it is 0. For example, for database entries, for SharePoint list items, etc., etc. So if I search for is document equals 1, I get, you can see, Excel, PDF, PowerPoint, and Word files. About 150 results. You see, I've got some very nice results here. Of course, these can be combined. So if I would like to get every document that contains the word college, I can do that. I've got about 64 results, and also I can use it with wildcard as well. So there you go. I've got a bit less results now, and we can combine them, of course. If I want to use metadata here, I can use, for example, if I would like to get the documents that contains college in the title, and they are documents, is document equals 1. I can do that as well, and you can see here are the documents that contains the word college in the title, and of course the possibilities are endless here. Once again, you will get this reference into your inbox short after this webinar, and you can combine those conditions, and or not can be used, and you can use parentheses and wildcard at the end of the word as well. And if you use plus, that means you would like to include that condition into your result. If you use minus, you show that you don't want to include, you want to exclude that result. For example, if I want to get the documents that don't have the word college in the title, I can use a minus before the condition related to the title, and I get everything that doesn't have the word college in the title. Or I can use the not here, and I get the same results again. Those are equivalent. All right, so this was my demonstration for the queries. Let's talk about customizing the search experience, result types, and display templates. In search, all the results are not the same. They are different. We want to display, for example, the people results in a different way than documents. Or we want to display PowerPoint slides a different way than PDF files. One great example can be shown on this picture, and I am going to demonstrate this in just a second. You can see that I get a document with those styles, and I get the people with their faces, and everything is defined by result types and display templates. Result type defines the type of the result. For example, PDF is a result type, and the display template means a template for how to display these items here. So let me show you how it works. For example, this is my search center. This is a different one, and you can see that I get documents displayed here. So if I am searching for everything, I get these documents, and these documents are displayed in this tile, with this tile design, with this custom tile design, and displays the icon of the document type, and also I get the hover panel, I have metadata, etc., etc. If I switch to another view in this search center, I can see the very same documents displayed with a different display template, you can see in this case my ties are vertical ones and not horizontal as here. Another nice example from my experience is a search-driven task center where you can see all the tasks that are assigned to you, and you can see that some of them are already late, some of them are still in time, and in different cases we can show the statuses of these tasks with different icons, for example. So which is in late can be displayed with this red icon, which is still not in late can be displayed with this green icon. And last but not least, I can show you some people as well, and you can see these are like a business card design. You can see all the personal details here, like email address, mobile phone, the location of the person. And if I hover my mouse over this item on the hover panel, I can see the author documents as well, or I can open up the profile of this user. As I said, the possibilities are endless, and the important thing is that we can use these techniques for result types and display templates the same way in SharePoint on-premises and Office 365. And whatever I have done here in Office 365 can be done on-premises as well, and vice versa, they work the same way. So now let's talk about the next thing, the seventh thing, which is query rules and result blocks. For query rules, I can define rules to be applied for my queries. And if the condition in this rule is true, then some actions will be happen. So for example, if I set condition which says if the query contains marketing deck or equals to marketing deck, then highlight these results in a separate result block and display this best bet in the result set. So now let me show you this in action. I am going to switch here again, and you can see if up until now you haven't seen anything highlighted here, so whatever I was searching for, I've got the search results provided by the engine. But let's say I would like to learn more about search, therefore I run a query, learn search. In this case, you can see search explains logo is displayed here, and this is a result that points us to the Search Explained website. You can also see the Search Explained Academy as a link here. Those are the promoted results. I am going to show you how to configure this in just a second. Those are the two promoted results if someone wants to learn about search. And also I have added a separate result block here displaying two items, and those two documents are promoted up to this block, and under this result block I get all the other results for my query learn search. So how this can be configured? So in a separate window I am logged in as an administrator to the very same search center, and if I go to the site settings, once again I am an administrator here. If I go to the search settings, I can see the search query rules here in the menu. If I open up this menu item, I have to select the result source, which is local SharePoint results in this case. And you can see I have created a new query rule here, which is learn search. Let me edit this now. And my query rule says if the query matches the keyword exactly learn search, let's display two promoted results. The first is Search Explained, the second one is Search Explained Academy. Search Explained is the first one, Search Explained Academy is the second one. And display a result block, which let me edit now here. And what this result block displays is two items. I can change the number here. And my query is contains the word search and the file extension is PDF. So I would like to get the items which are PDF files and contain the word search, and now I would like to get 3 of them. Let me change this one to 3. Up until now we've got only 2 results in this result block, and in this query role once again I display Search Explained Academy as promoted results and a result block with 3 items from now. Let me switch here where I am logged in as Alicia, the end user in the search center. Let me refresh the page. And now I've got 3 results here because I have just changed the query role to display 3 results in this result block. Those query roles are very powerful and they can be used in many cases. As I said, they contain a condition or a combination of conditions and also an action or a combination of actions, and this way you can choose what to happen when a query fulfills those conditions. The number 8 is people and expertise search, and this is getting more and more important because as we work in global environments, even if your organization is a global company, or if your customers work in different countries or even on different continents, it is really important to find the people and find the experts in your organization, and we get more and more tools for this. So first of all, I have already showed you Delve, and I am going to talk about Office Graph and Delve a little bit more. But what you can see here is it is my Delve home here, and on the left side I can see people who I interact the most with, and right away I can get content from these people immediately. So for example, if I click on the name of my colleague Eric, I can see information about him here. I can see his calendar, I can see his recent documents, I can see documents around Eric, etc., etc. So I can discover content around this person. And of course, I can view his profile, I can contact him right from here, I can open up his OneDrive. This is the people experience in Delve. The next thing is people search. So if I search for people in the search center, in the SharePoint search center, this is a different experience. You can see that there are 2 people who have written about Learn Search, Renee and Karim. And although those people don't have Learn Search in their title or in the name of their departments, I was able to find them because they have written content about it. So probably they know something about search. If I search for something else, for example, college, you can find people who have this word and also who have written about it. So I found more people for this query now. This is the people search experience in SharePoint. And last but not least, what I would like to show you is the people experience in the Outlook people experience in Office 365, because, well, this is another people experience, and you can see different experiences can be used different ways. The more ways you know how to search for people, how to discover people, the easiest you will find them. And one nice addition is going to be Teams, which just got announced yesterday by Microsoft. So by Teams, you can collaborate, you can find people in another way, in a new, different way, and you can see the same trend, the same tendency here. Here in Outlook in Office 365, this is how I get to the people. And of course, I can search for people. So for example, if I'm searching for Jim, I've got 2 suggestions here, and immediately I can open up the contact card for Jim Kim right from here. I can see the emails I have exchanged with him. I can see his files, the events, etc., etc. So different ways provides different user experience, different benefits, of course, different ways to find people. But as I said, it is getting to be more and more important these days. So once again, we have people search in SharePoint. We have people experience in Outlook. We have people experience in Delft. And it is getting really, really interesting how we can find people in our organization. And I have already promised several times that I am going to talk about Office Graph and Dev. So it's time to talk about Office Graph and Dev because it is really important. So in the graph, we store persons and we store documents. And we store relationships between person and also person and document. And these relationships can have different types. So, for example, a document can be shared with me. Another document can be viewed by me. I can work with someone. I can direct report to someone. Someone can be my manager, etc., etc. So we have people, we have documents, and we have relationships. And you can imagine that this graph can be really huge if we consider this to be organizational wide. And therefore, it is really important to understand how it really works. Basically, this graph is stored organizational wide, which means everyone and every document gets into this graph, and as well as the relationships. But everyone sees content from this graph as if he or she would be the center of this graph. So if I open my Delve, for example, let's see, this is me in the graph. In Delve, I can see my colleagues, my documents, and people and documents around me. And around me means close enough to me in this graph. Let me show you what I mean. Here is my Delve. Let me go to my home. I can see popular documents here. And you can see that those documents are authored by different colleagues of mine. Jamie, Eric, Vernon, Julian, Renee, etc., etc. Those are the documents that are around me in the graph, that are popular documents I have permission to and that are suggested to me. I also have me view Here is my contact card again with my contact information, my blog. I haven't written anything into this blog yet, but you can see my calendar as well. I can update my profile here, and I can see different views here. One view is my recent documents, the documents I have worked with recently. I can see persons around me in the graph, and also I can see documents around me in the graph. So let's say documents from people around me, and I can see many documents, and these documents are stored in the graph around me, as you can see on this picture. They are close enough to me. This is why they are displayed here. And the same with the persons here. If I open up the people in this view, these people are the ones who are close to me in this graph. And this is what I can see in Dev. So just to distinguish between the graph and Dev, the graph is the engine. This is in Office 365, and this is the engine behind the scenes, and Dev is, and this is the graph. Dev is the user experience that is using the graph, and this is one application over the graph. Clutter in Exchange, another one, and you can see more and more applications which use Office Graph, and also you can see that more and more custom applications will be available on the market as well. You might have a question about permissions and privacy in Dev and Graph. And this is the last topic I would like to cover here. So let me talk about security and privacy in Search and Office Graph as well as Dev. So first of all, security. Everything is security trimmed in Search, in Dev, in all the experiences. So for example, every document I can see here, or maybe this view is better. So everything I can see here is displayed here because I do have permission to these documents. If I don't have permissions to a document, there is no way I can discover the document here. The same is true here. Search is also security trimmed, which means there is no way to be able to see any document on the search results if I don't have permission to it. That's it. It is true both in SharePoint and Office 365. But there is another thing in Dev. In Dev, as I said, I can discover new content that is close enough to me, that is suggested to me. And this close enough means based on relationships. But if I open up a colleague of mine, for example, Eric Gruber, I can see his recent documents. And what you can see here is that each of those documents have been modified by Eric. But probably there are some documents that have been not modified, but just opened up by Eric. Does it mean these documents are not stored in the graph? No, those documents are stored in the graph. Moreover, those documents have relationships to Eric in the graph, but I cannot see those documents in this view. Why? Because those are private actions. Opening for view a document is a private action in Office Graph. Why? Because I might open some document I don't want to share with my colleagues. I mean, I don't want to share this activity. So, for example, let me show you, maybe this is a better way. So, this is me in the graph, and those are documents and items around me. I can share a document, I can invite someone to a meeting, and I can view this Word document, for example. And those types of actions, those types of relationships are all private, which means, let's say I do have a manager. My manager cannot see what documents I have opened. He cannot discover what documents I have viewed recently. Of course, if he modifies a document and I do not have permission to a document, I cannot either see this document because I don't have permission to the document itself, although modifying a document is a public action, as you could see in Delve here. So if someone modifies a document, that is a public relationship in the Office Graph. But if I cannot open this document because I don't have permission to it, there is no way that I can see this document in Office Graph. And the same is true if my manager has permission to this document, but I only view this document and don't modify it, my manager cannot discover this relationship between me and this document by Delve. And the same is true for emails, of course, because emailing someone is private action as well. So this is a very nice way to protect my privacy. Let me show you a practical example. Let's say there is a document called maternity benefits, and everyone has permission to open up this document. Let's say I get pregnant and I would like to learn about the maternity benefits in my organization. I open up this document on the HR site, for example. Do I want my manager to discover this activity even though he has access to this document? No, I don't want. Why? Because being pregnant is still my private thing. I want to be the one who shares this information with my manager. I don't want my manager to discover this information, right? And again, he cannot discover it by Delve because viewing a document is a private action. However, if he modifies this document, I will be able to see this relationship because I have a relationship to this guy. He is my manager, and also he has modified this document, and as I have demonstrated, modifying a document is a public relationship. Therefore, I will be able to see this document on my manager's Delve page, but he cannot discover my relationship to this document at all. So I really hope this session was useful for you. If you might have any question, please don't hesitate to enter into the query box in the Webinar Ninja or email me anytime later. Don't forget to visit academy.searchexplained.com for further resources and searchexplained.com for my search related blog. And I would like to say thank you for attending this webinar. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot. Any feedback, any question, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you again.